everyone, and welcome back to the third episode of the Weekly Dog Show. Once again, for all of you who watched our episode 2 that was, and liked and followed and subscribed to our pages, thank you so very much. We always do appreciate it. Thank you for coming back and watching our show, and we will keep providing more. Right, let's get started with something a little lighthearted. The old South African flag, otherwise known as the "we really messed up but refused to admit it" cloth. Now, the reason why we're starting with this tonight is because there has been a lot of controversy over this flag, which was spurred on by certain protesters who attended the Black Monday protest against farm murders this past week. Some protesters were allegedly waving the flag around and singing the old SA national anthem. And I must say that if there was ever a way to completely discredit any sort of cause that you are standing for, this would be it. That's like protesting against child abuse by holding up a diagram of how to effectively knock out a baby. I mean, it makes no sense. It's nonsensical and illogical. Now, there is always going to be the freedom of speech argument and that it's just a flag and people must stop getting offended by it. And if you're one of those people and you're currently watching this episode, best you stop right here, because this next part is probably going to offend your ignorance. The old SA flag is not just a flag. It's a symbol of everything that was wrong with our country. It was a symbol of division, a symbol of violence, pain, injustice, brutality, and this flag has absolutely no place in our modern society, regardless of what cause you are standing for. Especially since the new SA flag, which in my personal opinion is a far more beautiful flag in any case, especially since this flag encompasses everybody. Now, the notion that it's just a flag and that you can't erase our past is pathetic, because you are choosing to glorify an era of hate by convincing yourself that the good old days are when things ran smoothly. And you know what? They did run smoothly. For you. But for the majority of the good old days was a time of pain and constant fear. And while you might feel that the flag is just a flag, for those who were oppressed at the time, that flag was the gag that was choking and silently sucking the life out of innocent people. So if you want to wave this disgusting, ugly flag around, maybe next time roll it up into a little ball, stuff it into your mouth along with your foot, because anything you have to say about it in its defense holds absolutely no value or reason in our society today, especially while protesting something that is a genuine cause for concern. The farm murders are a genuine cause for concern, but you've completely destroyed that by bringing a symbol of hate to a protest. But we'll get into more detail about farm murders next week. But right now, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, we've got a bit of an interesting story for you, which is actually objectively quite funny. There's been a video that has been going around of traffic officers wiping their face with money as well as eating the money. Now, I sort of understand as to why some of you may be angry about this, and that's because there are a few things that you may not know about the story, and that is that a 50 Rand note has a very distinct flavor. It's not the best, it's a little thin and tastes a bit inky, but it's a great everyday meal when you're on the run. I mean, it's not going to stop traffic, but it's good enough. It stays fresh for long and can be stored pretty much anywhere. However, when we're dealing with a 100 Rand note, like those officers were dealing with, unfortunately, they didn't do it right, because unfortunately, it doesn't go with chicken. It's more sophisticated. It's a little bit more refined. So what you do, right, is you take some high quality rice, you take some fairly decent wine, I mean a good year or whatever else, and you basically take a little bit of rice and you put it in the 100 Rand note, And this should, it balances out the flavors quite nicely. And then you pretty much roll it up like that, as you can see. You roll it up until it looks like a nice little rich piece of sushi with a little blue tinge on it, and we're almost done. And then you basically just dip it into a little bit of wine over here, some good wine over here, and then you, yeah, all right, that's good. That's good. That's good. Now that's pretty much how you eat a 100 Rand note. But on a serious note, the reason this story has gotten so much traction is because, the corruption in our country is rife. And when something is objectively funny like this, it gets put out to the public media or public space. The immediate conclusion that people gravitate to is that this money has been attained through bribes and corruption. And regardless of whether it was attained in that manner or not, that is no laughing matter. Because at the end of the day, it is a reality. There are corrupt cops and cops that do bribe to get that money. But that's not to say that this is how this money was attained. Regardless, what I can tell you for sure is that blue buffalo tastes amazing. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. And now on to our international news. There has been yet another mass shooting in the United States, this time at a church in Texas, which is a complete, utter travesty. However, it baffles me how when a shooting like this happens in the States, Trump and his Republican gang refuse to even talk about gun reform. And it's never a good time because it's unfair to the families to politicize it. And it's just pathetic because it makes no sense. However, when a terrorist attack happens, as it did in New York last week, Trump is like, close the borders, build a wall, tighten immigration. We've got to take action here, folks. This is a bad situation, a very bad, a bigly bad. And this is sad because a large majority of the fatalities in America stem from gun-related violence by American towards Americans. But yet, it's never a good time to do anything about it, or at the very, very least, talk about it. But anyway, let's move on. Something a little bit more lighthearted. Kevin Spacey, a two-time Oscar-winning actor, is now under fire for alleged sexual misconduct towards a myriad of people, to which Kevin Spacey responded to by saying, "I'm gay." Now, no one knows what that means, but I know what you're thinking. He may seem like the usual suspect or possibly a horrible boss, but he really isn't a great negotiator or the father of invention, because he is simply an ordinary decent criminal, which used a show of force to get an American beauty to show interest in him. However, this may have been a margin call, but the truth is that this led to his career to sort of come tumbling down around him like a house of cards. I had a few more, but I thought 7 was enough. Right, thank you so much for watching our show. I mean, that wraps it up. We didn't have too much international news for you, but we just highlighted a few things. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. Please do subscribe below, the button below. If you liked our video, also please click like. If you didn't like our video, once again, just click like more aggressively. And we'll be back next week with a little bit more on the farm murders. Now, the reason why I'm putting a lot of emphasis on this is because we really are going to go into detail with these farm murders, as we really do feel that they are quite tragic and they are of grave, grave concern. But we'll take you into all of those details next week. Catch us again in a week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Thanks again. Have a fantastic evening. Good night.